answer any questions about any other questions you've heard, or if you'd like me to elaborate any more on the three that I've gone over so far.
One really quick question that comes up, and it's just interesting because I actually had a senior ask me this, a supervisor. The question, it's not. The question being why in Islam Muslim guys are allowed to marry non-Muslim women, but Muslim women are not allowed to marry non-Muslim men. And that's been asked to me, and I just tell them the answer, but I don't know.
What's your answer? Maybe you have a good answer. And we all can learn from each other, right? Like even the answers I'm giving you, these are just some answers that we've developed from the CAIR methodology. We're not saying that that's the only correct answer. It's our opinion. So go ahead, give us your answer, and we'll see. Okay. I'll see if that's in line with our answer.
Okay. So what I usually say is that with the fact that the man usually has more of a dominant voice in the house, it is important for the father figure, the husband, to be Muslim so that the children grow up being Muslim. That's my general nutshell answer.
Anyone have another answer? I'm not saying yours is wrong. Anyone have another answer? I mean, it's interactive. Let's have a sister speak.
I also was asked for that question, and my answer was, I told them because really what I heard that even Muslim men are not allowed to marry non-Muslim women, both. And the reason for that is for the harmony of the family, because they can have children, and the children they have to follow only one faith. And if we're gonna have two different faiths, then this is gonna affect the well-being and the psychology of the children. They get confused.
That's the one.
I would like to say that men are not allowed to marry non-Muslims. They're only allowed to marry Ahlul Kitab, Jews and Christians, and anybody else. Men are not allowed to marry, and that's based on the ayah in the Quran. And why men are allowed to marry Ahlul Kitab, while females are not allowed to marry men of Ahlul Kitab. That's because the religion of men is predominant on the children, and in Islam, man is the head figure of the family, and there's a structure, and based on that structure, the religion of man passes down to the children. But then logically, you can argue that my friends have argued that female is the first school for children. So that's where I don't have the answer. Like that is a fact. So.
Okay. Thank you all for your comment. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, when people ask questions, you have to look at sometimes the misconception or the question or the statement that drives the question. And when people ask that question, there's a general belief that Muslim women are oppressed in Islam and that they don't have equal rights as men. That's what prompts that question. It's not just a simple question of how come Muslim women can't marry non-Muslim men. So therefore, the beginning answer is to first establish that Islam affirms the spiritual and intellectual equality of the male and the female. You have to first, I would suggest you first start off addressing it that way, especially if you're public speaking or speaking on a talk radio show or media, which I think only, I know Nadia does that and Raheem does it sometimes. I'm not sure how many else of you are doing that now, but you may do that in the future. You go in front of an interfaith audience or you're asked to answer these questions. The second one is that we as Muslims believe that God, through his messenger Muhammad, established and gave us guidance on the best lifestyle and on the best way to conduct our affairs. And we do these things, what we do, as a matter of faith. Just as prayer, just as charity, just as other things that we do. Now, for another answer, or to go deeper, is that we see in America that the divorce rate is skyrocketing. And the more differences amongst the family or amongst the mates, the more potential problems. And we believe that the most harmonious way of keeping the family together is that they share the most common traits, the most common elements. So the more common elements they have is better. And for most Muslims, the most important aspect of life is not economic status, is not even ethnicity, it's relationship between the person with their creator. Okay? Now, and what you said, the Zaydi madhab, I'm not sure about some of the other schools, but the Zaydi madhab is not permissible for a Muslim man to marry a Jewish or a Jewish or Christian woman. Do you know, there's a story about this, and then we'll get to one more question, relating to Umar bin al-Khattab, that when Islam was spreading, because out of the four first khulafa, the Islamic region spread the furthest during the Khilafah of Umar bin al-Khattab. In one of the Ghazwa, one of his, a wali, or one of the governors, or we say general, married a Christian woman. Married a Christian woman. And Umar told this, once he found out that this commander married this Christian woman, he told this man that he should divorce her. And the man said, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, are you telling me to do something that Allah and His Messenger made permissible?" And he said that he feared that him being a leader, that if he married this Christian woman, that the other people or the other Muslims would follow suit and that there would be lonely Muslim women back in the Hijaz. So this commander divorced that woman. Now I've turned from off of CAIR Michigan Executive Director mode to Imam Dawood mode now. We have a situation here in the community, I have to say this before we go on. We have a situation in our community where Muslim brothers go out and mess with the non-Muslim American girls and date and get married. And then we have all these Muslim sisters who are educated, who are getting up in age, who can't find Muslim brothers, and they don't want to marry someone back in the old country. They want to marry someone here, they grew up with the same culture. So you have these sisters getting up in their mid-upper 20s and 30s, and they can't get married because some of our brothers are going out marrying these Christian sisters and saying, "Oh yeah, then we're going to convert them to Islam, right? We're going to convert them to Islam, through marriage," which that's a whole other issue. A lot of the sisters do embrace Islam with sincerity, but some of them just do it just to marry the brother, right? And then you have all these sisters who can't get married. That's why I refuse to perform nikah for a Muslim brother with a Christian or Jewish woman. I do not do it. I say, you have to go to Sheikh such and such or Sayyid such and such. I will not do it. I won't do it for that reason. Out of the reason of maslahah. I just don't do it. It's not for the common good of the community. As minorities in Mufti Dr. Taha al-Awani, he gave a fatwa regarding the situation too, by the way. It's not just my own opinion. We'll take one more question because we're running over time. I have to give Nadia her time. Or should we stop right there? Khalas.
No, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If in Islam the men are allowed to marry a non-Muslim woman, then why women cannot do the same? Because the outcome is going to be the same for both. If it is a Muslim woman marrying a non-Muslim,